It's the Agorist Nexus podcast. I'm Brandon. I've got my great co-host Dag with me. How you doing, Dag?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited for the guest.
Yeah. Before we get started, I just want to mention if we do need supporters for sure. So if you guys want to support us through Subscribe Star, you get like extra perks. We're on CoinTree too. Float has a support option, and then our webpage has a donate page where you can help out and support in many different ways. And there's also like affiliate links on our website. So if you click and use any of those, I think there's like a library, LRBY, and Brave browser. If you sign up for any of those through our website, you'll be supporting us, and we'll get kickbacks for doing that. So, but on that note, we've got a special guest with us today. His name's Gonzo. How you doing, Gonzo?
I'm doing great, Brandon, man. How are you?
Good. So, tell us about your homesteading, and if you could give us any advice on how to get started and what to look for, that'd be great.
Well, one of the ways that I decided to help starve the state, as it were, a buddy of mine had a couple of acres that he absolutely was not using. So I moved on to his property and started homesteading it. Got livestock going, started planting gardens, help increase the value of his property, and it gives me a place to live without paying any property taxes, and it's all private between me and him.
Nice. That's great.
Is that currently where you're at? I thought you were a little suburban. Am I mistaken about that?
No, it's 2 acres in the suburbs.
Oh, nice. So you're doing it right out there.
Yep, I'm 5 minutes away from everything.
Okay, cool. It's nice sometimes to be able to be like kind of close to stuff. It is always nice perk if you can be just out of like any like city limits, and be like out in the county, be at least far enough away from any of the big hubbub. Do you feel so like recently with all the let's say the last 6 months of turmoil and whatnot? I definitely am glad that I'm away from a city. Are you like far enough from a city where you feel like comfortable enough with everything going on?
I wish I was further, but the point of this is to build everything that I need to go to a homestead. And I'll have my coop. I'll have a tiny house.
Yeah, you're getting set up something that I was actually doing for several years with the tiny house and everything. It's nice to have that. Definitely, like I said, it's almost like you have like a staging area for like if shit gets bad, you have a whole bug out caravan.
Yeah, I've got a RV and a 10x20 shed that I'm in the midst of converting. Everything that I build, my chicken coop, my duck hut, everything is built to size to fit on a trailer. So I'm basically using this property as a staging area for the next step.
As you know, I raise a lot of chickens and everything. I do want to get into ducks, but you do a lot of ducks, and you do chickens as well. Why? What's like a benefit of like a duck versus a chicken? Would you recommend that people maybe look into that as opposed to, because everybody gets chickens. The chickens are great, but would you recommend people look into ducks a little more? They seem to be a little underutilized.
I like ducks because their shelter needs are far less than a chicken. You just build them a little hut on the ground, and they're really good at taking care of pests and tramping down your weeds. And runner ducks lay a lot of eggs. So I love runner ducks.
They are like the funniest looking duck. Other than like there's ones like the poof balls in their head, but yeah, just these runner ducks. Like, you guys out there, take a second, Google that. They're just a really funny looking. How would you say? It's just like their body stance. They're just totally different. I really love them. I definitely want to get some runners. We accidentally got shipped a single duck with a batch of chickens a few months ago, so we just have one running around as a practice duck.
Yeah, I have pecans for meat ducks because they put on weight. Their feed to weight ratio is crazy high. So I have them for meat and runners for eggs and pests.
That's I think that's the one that that I have is a pekin that got sent to me, and yeah, it's growing super fast compared to chickens. It's just adorable. Looks like it's a female because you're telling me they actually quack instead of grunt or whatever like the males do. We named her Lysandra Spoonbill, which I absolutely adore.
Nice.
How long is this your first time getting into doing animals or livestock or anything, or did you used to have critters as a kid or anything growing up?
I used to raise pit bulls and chinchillas, and so it's not my first venture into raising animals, but as far as poultry, yeah, this is my
Food
first year.
source.
Yeah.
Excellent. Do you do any gardening or anything there, or are you just doing livestock?
We garden, we do raised beds and square foot, high density gardening, try to get better at that. It's like I said, this isn't my final home, so I'm not putting in, massive gardens, but container gardening and raised bed gardening does happen.
I feel like where I'm at now, I'm like, it would take something really serious to get me to leave because yeah, I've spent the last 6 years of my life, dumping like all my labor and all my extra money, and everything into my homestead and my property and stuff. Like I couldn't imagine leaving. So by that same thing, like if I was just like, if you're just somewhere temporarily, it's like, yeah, it's like, you don't want to invest too much, into anything. But I think the way you're doing it with the raised beds and square foot gardening is great. And that's probably one of the best ways to, if people are looking to learn how to do that kind of thing, it's a really great way to get things set up and keep it manageable. And if it's just, like a single family or something, like you can get plenty of food out of a few raised beds.
Oh, absolutely. It's much easier. Like when I was a kid, I was taught to do, row gardening, very old school, and it's just not nearly as efficient. I can get more food out of a 10 by 20 bed than I could out of a giant garden that I had to weed and hoe and take care of. It's your crops will crowd out the weeds, and that's really helpful because I work, I don't have time to constantly be in the garden as much as I'd like to be.
Yeah, the raised beds are really nice too because they're up off the ground a little bit, so it's a lot more comfortable to work, which is cool as you're getting in there and weeding and stuff. Because yeah, man, like when I first started doing this, like I was gonna grow veggies and maybe chickens or something as a side project, but man, vegetables are a lot of work, and sometimes you put so much work and time into something and then bugs come and eat it or something and it's just, gone. Whereas animals, they kind of take care of themselves for the most part. You give them a good place to live and you tend to them a couple times a day and, for the most part, they take care of themselves. So it's a lot less labor intensive for the amount of calories and stuff that you get out of it.
And not to mention having the animals will help you amend your soil, You clean out, once your garden is down, clean out your coop, throw all that on top of the garden. Next spring, man, you've got all the nitrogen you need to get that growing fast.
Yeah, and it gives you good fuel for a compost pile too. You get that in there, get some carbon in there. And that was originally the main reason I wanted chickens was just, I'm gonna get a couple little chicken tractors to help with the soil amendment and stuff like that because yeah, they do a great job of that. When we do the meat birds, we do a big chicken tractor and we'll run them through the pasture. And like 10 days later, all that grass has grown back and you can see the dark green streak where that chicken tractor traveled. Like you can follow it for like its course over like 3 weeks just by the color of the grass. It's really neat.
Yeah, permaculture, I think, is one of the most valuable things somebody that's interested in being more self-sufficient can learn because you plant yourself a food forest and you learn how to keep it fertilized, man. It'll take care of you and it'll give you extra produce that you can barter or sell or whatever.
Yeah, preserve if possible, depending on what it is.
Absolutely, yes.
So so you do a little bit of 3D printing as well. You actually sort of help kicked me in the ass to get into it. You had posted some pictures that that I'm sure you didn't make, but it's some people printing some really fun things, and I was just like, dude, like I got to get into that. It's really super. What do you use as far as printers go? You actually have a couple of them, right?
Yeah, I have 2 Prussia 3D printers. They're more expensive than the Ender 3, but they've been around forever, and they're really solid.
Yeah, I remember you making fun of my Ender 3.
I did not make fun of it.
What's like a big difference between like the Prussias that you have versus like an Ender 3? Is it just like bed size, or is it overall quality?
I think that they've been around longer. So, I mean, Joseph Prussia was one of the pioneers of 3D printing. Like back in 2010, when I first discovered 3D printing, I was in trade school for machining, and I learned about additive manufacturing. And this guy was out there showing you how to take stepper motors out of old dot matrix printers and build your own 3D printer. And that's the reason I went with him, just because, support the people that got the movement going. If all you can afford is an Ender 3, get the fucking Ender 3, man, because the printer is more important. It's what I knew. I knew the dude's work. I trusted it. And Ender 3s weren't around when I bought my first Prussia.
So you've been into this for 10 years now, or going on 10 years?
In some capacity, yeah.
Wow, that's neat. I was recently doing a bit of research on 3D printers, and yeah, they were saying, the first ones were built from, regular like inkjet printers, which is and that's just really neat. I got a lot of respect for people who come up with shit like that, and just make that happen. You went to machining school, you said?
Yeah, I'm a machinist, welder, fabricator, just a general metal worker, I guess.
Oh, dude, that's cool. Welding and shit's like a great skill to have.
Absolutely.
Do you like work for a place, or do you do stuff like that, like freelance, or?
I'm willing to weld anything anybody needs welded. I've got, the tools. I've got a mill and a lathe, so I can do metalworking from home. Recently, I was working for a company that built welding robots, and that was my last job, was working for a place that built welding robots.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'm guessing you know how to do pretty much all the welds, MIG, TIG, all that.
I can do stick and MIG. My TIG is pretty weak. That's what I'm currently working on. I can TIG steel, but aluminum, just, man, me and aluminum don't get along. I can MIG weld aluminum, but I can't TIG weld it for shit.
Yeah, that's tough. Cool.
Let's say someone had like let's say I had a friend who had a homestead, and they were maybe thinking about getting a small welder for, projects around the farm. I've had people like recommend to me like just like the $100 wire welder from like Harbor Freight. I've had other welder friends recommend that I get like they're calling it like a stick welder. I think it's the same thing as an arc welder. If somebody was looking to get something inexpensive to learn on, and doesn't have to be pretty welds, but has to be functional, what would you recommend they do to get started?
Well, you can go to Harbor Freight and get the cheapest welder you can find. It'll be a flux core welder so that you don't need gas.
Yes.
MIG welding is very easy to learn. Just, you take your time, you learn. It's almost like coloring with crayons. There's a motion that you make with your wrist, and that's what creates a nice solid bead. It's not the best welder. It won't weld super thick stuff, but for basic homestead use, absolutely. Just go get the $200 welder and learn. It's like, get the Ender 3 and learn, because if the cost of entry is what stops a lot of people from learning any trade or skill. Get in there where you can. Get in where you fit in, man. If you ain't got the money to go buy a Miller welder, don't. Get the Harbor Freight one and earn some money with that Harbor Freight one and upgrade. Look for you.
At least get some practice. So you don't, destroy your fancy new welder. Get some practice with the cheap one, break it, then get the nicer one.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Back in the printers, when I got my my Ender 3 a few weeks ago, and like I was really intimidated at first, but I was just amazed at how, like I've seen a lot of like 3D printer fail prints and stuff where the stuff just looks terrible, and I'm thinking like there's going to be like this giant learning curve, but man, it was so easy. I mean, I took an afternoon to set it up and, watch some calibration videos and stuff. And I thought that was going to be a thing. And, at first you read how to do it and it's daunting, but you take it step by step and it's nothing, man. And like all the stuff I've been printing, it's like it's come out great. And I've just been so like amazed at, again, just like the entry level one like that and just sort of the ease of it, because I'm very intimidated by, computery stuff. So I was a little nervous about it, but yeah, man, it was surprisingly simple. Definitely. I was doing a print the other day. Let's just say it was a birdhouse, and it was like a 2-day print, and it's like a day in, and I forgot to do it, like add supports to it, because I've never had to do that on anything, and it sort of starts like printing out like maybe like an inch out, like a 90-degree angle, and it sort of sag in, and I'm like, oh no, this is gonna mess up. I'm just gonna let it go at this point and see what happens. It started to sort of warp and get kind of funny, and I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? So anyhow, I just paused the thing, and I hit the funny looking spots with a lighter, and like reshaped them with my fingers, and then started it back up, and it sort of like picked up, and it got a spot that was a little globby, and I just snipped that off with a set of snippers, and then it ended up finishing the print and came out really great. And I was really, surprised at how just like on the fly I was able to like fix that. And then of course reading about how to print other, let's say, birdhouses. Today they were actually saying that's something you can do, is like hit them with a lighter to clean them up and stuff. Do you use like a lighter or a torch or anything on any of your stuff?
I've used butane lighters. My favorite thing is it's called a deburring knife or a swivel knife. You use it to take burrs off of metal, and it'll clean up your edges real fast. A butane torch is great. Acetone on a rag will smooth something out real nice too.
Is that for like any materials, or is there particular materials that the acetone works for?
I know that the acetone works on I believe it's PLA it works really well for. I think ABS too, but ABS it works for. Yeah.
What kind of material do you like to print with? Have you done anything more exotic than like a PLA or PLA plus?
I did PLA for my job. He wanted to make some face shields with the company logo and stuff on them, so we did that. A buddy of mine likes to make the back plate for holsters, so that it's soft and pliable. He'll make the shell out of ABS and make the back out of PLA.
Nice. I used to do holsters out of fiberglass and stuff. I did car audio fabrications that was always laying around, and we had a couple customers who wanted me to like build them like a custom holster, like in the center console or whatever. So like they leave the gun with us, and we use it to shape it and everything. And I love those jobs. That was so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You can make some pretty amazing holsters with a 3D printer. Fiberglass is just as cool, though.
The 3D printer, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess if somebody already has the CADs and stuff done, I guess that's probably easier than, having to mix up glass or whatever. Do you CAD?
I have a friend who is a mechanical engineer that does the SolidWorks CAD for me if I need it.
Okay, so you've never really played around with like I don't know, like Fusion 360 or SketchUp or anything?
To be honest, that's a place where I need to step up my game, because when you've got a best friend that does it for a living, just let him do it.
Yeah. Here's a 12-pack, man. Help me out.
Exactly.
Do you do any printing for like do you like sell anything you print, or do you like do people ever like pay you to to make things for them?
I've had a few things, like there was a guy who wanted a Predator mask done for he said it was because to protest masks, but I think he's just an undercover cosplayer. Which is cool, but he gave me $100 to 3D print him a Predator mask.
Yeah, see, that's kind of something I'd like to get into, is find a way to be able to make a couple bucks printing stuff. And there's, you look at like Thingiverse or any of the print file repositories, and there's a lot of really cool stuff. But there is just so much of it is like knick-knacky, or it's neat, but it's not really useful. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can find some stuff on there that I don't know you could sell. You're not supposed to sell anything from like the prints that you get off of there, but how are they going to know?
Yeah, whatever.
If they give me a cease and desist, we'll cross that bridge.
Yeah, I don't recall ever agreeing to that, so no.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like if you could like CAD, even just like some relatively basic stuff. I mean, I guess the issue would be finding customers, but there's probably a market for that, for maybe construction companies or something that might have uses for one-offs or something that doesn't exist. Have you ever run across anything like that?
Yeah. For prototyping and getting things sandcast, we needed a certain shape of tool. I 3D printed it, and we sent the print off to get sandcast, and it cut the production time down by at least 75%, just because I was able to send them a plastic part of what I wanted back in metal, and they sandcast it, and we had it back in a matter of days instead of, weeks.
Oh, neat. I like that. The shop I work at, I think they're all excited that I got one of these. They've already hit me up with stuff like, oh, can you print this or that? And like I don't know, man. I'm not there yet. I'm not designing it.
Yeah, we use it a lot. My buddy and I are into, car mods and stuff, and we printed gauge pods and, things like that just don't exist in the aftermarket. Just print it up, man, and it comes out well. There's little bits and pieces. If you need the interior clips for holding on your panels or whatever, print them up.
Oh yeah, because that's always the big thing. You break one of those, and you get any car that's over 10 years old, and they just they don't go back together the same. In a lot of instances with those stupid plastic clips. Yeah, man, that's a good idea, definitely. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna have to get into that. I'm gonna start learning how to CAD for sure.
My next plan is I've got a motorcycle. I've got to print a different tail cone for it because I want to modify the look. It's getting 3D printed, sanded, and sprayed. It's going to be 3D printed bodywork.
How big is that piece? It sounds like a big piece.
It'll be probably 8 to 10 inches, but it can be in separate pieces, and I'll, print tabs and glue it together and sand it down, and it'll look great.
Cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's awesome. That's one of those things that in like in 10 years, it's going to be like again, doing go back doing the auto fab and stuff. It's like, why? Remember back in the day when we had, mix fiberglass and do, 3 different layers of body filler and, sand for 14 hours, it's like, no, now you just, have a nerd work it up on CAD and print it off. Just get on Fiverr, have someone figure it out for you.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it cuts, when you can prototype that fast, it cuts down production time so much.
Yeah, I think that was the original 3D printers. That was even what they got used for before they got really, inexpensive enough, was to do prototypes and mock-ups and whatnot. Because, I mean, yeah, if you want to design a new product, I mean, every piece that has to be made, you have to design it and have it built before they have like a mold for it. So, it used to be, and of course still is, a huge process. Being able to cut that down is probably very beneficial.
Oh, remember when car designers had to make new models out of clay?
Yes.
They can 3D print it now.
Yeah, they had I remember seeing that whole, life-size model of these things. They just carved them out of clay. And it just always amazed me that, like, the talent with some people who could, make things so symmetrical and actually be able to just do that. It looked like they were using, like, a cheese slicer to, like, take it down. And, yeah, really neat.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of people with actual artistic ability, because I can't draw anything that looks like anything or sculpt anything that looks like anything. I do okay with vinyl graphics, but that's about it.
It definitely takes a lot of the learning curve out of it, and that's why I promote it as hard as I can.
Do you get any questions about the printing or the mechanical side of things, Brandon?
I definitely think this is the way to go. I mean, you guys were saying earlier that it'd take hours to make, to try to make certain things, and now it's just like, get on CAD and print it out. I kind of want to go back to the homesteading. You had mentioned that, something about leaving the area you're in now, and what was it? Going to a trailer or something? I can't recall. But what are your plans, and how do you go about going from one small area to how do you transition through leaving one place and going to another in terms of homesteading and having all your livestock and stuff with you?
Everything that I'm doing now is built to be modular. I have a 26-foot RV that has all the utilities. It has a refrigerator, furnace, water heater, bathrooms, kitchen. It has all that. And it also has a 4,000-watt generator. So I'm kind of using that as my command post, for lack of a better term. And I have a 10 by 20 shed that I had delivered on a trailer. So if they brought it on a trailer, they can move it on a trailer. My coop is 8 feet by 8 feet. I can put it on a car trailer with my small coop for my silkies and my duck hut. That'll all fit on a single car trailer. It's just, as I'm building these things, I try to be cognizant of this has to be mobile. It may not be easy to move, but it's movable. And as long as I keep that in mind as I build these things up, it's just a matter of, it's not going to be cheap to move these things, but it'll be a big part of, it's the barrier of entry to buying, raw land. You don't want to go there because, I don't want to live in a tent. Well, I don't mind living on a bus. I've got a bathroom, I've got a shower, I've got a kitchen, and that gives you the opportunity to, build more permanent structures if you can show up, semi-prepared.
Right. Yeah.
It's nice because when you have a house, you're you're building equity in it, but you're kind of doing that same thing now without having the permanence of a land. You're going ahead and getting your stuff set up and all that. I think it's a smart way to go.
Absolutely. I don't operate in the credit market. I've never had a credit card. I don't have a bank account. So, I'm not going to be able to afford the type of land I want with a structure already on it. I'm not going to be able to. But I can, get together $15,000, $20,000 and buy property and build. And that's kind of my goal because, I don't see the current paradigm lasting forever. And I don't want somebody to be able to just walk in and take away what I've been working on because of, I lost my job, or, I broke my back and now I can't work, so we lose our property. That's not an option.
Yeah.
I'll buy what I have with cash money and build from that point on. I won't put myself in debt first.
That's smart. You had mentioned a generator. Any plans for solar?
Yeah, I'm going to put some solar on the roof of the bus and run several deep cycle AGM batteries just, for maintenance. I do want solar to be part of my plan, but I want the generator because, building things without power tools is a pain in the ass, and I don't ever want to have to build something without power tools. So I need some actual power there too.
For sure.
Yeah, you never know what the situation's going to be with, gasoline availability and stuff like that. So having some redundancy is definitely a good backup. And then if nothing else, you fire up the generator when you got to run a chainsaw, or, unless you have a gas chainsaw. If I'm a weirdo as electric chainsaw, but if you got to run power tools, fire up the generator, you got to run an AC. But then if you have a solar or little wind turbine, with LED lights and shit now, that's enough to run, run lighting and, a laptop and stuff like that. So it's definitely good to have those layers of redundancy. I want to get my one of my sheds that I converted into like a kitchen food processing area. It has all my freezers in it. And I want to be able to get a big enough solar and wind system to be able to run my freezer, so if power goes out, not an issue. If it's out for 2 weeks, not an issue, because, my freezers, I'll have thousands of dollars of meat in there.
Yeah, and if your power goes out and you can't keep your stuff cold, then all of it goes bad. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a lot of work, just going down the drain. And we had it happen a few years ago. We had a hurricane and we lost power for 2 weeks, and we lost just back when we were just getting started. So it was, a few dozen birds, but I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's something that you've raised yourself, it's so much more heartbreaking, like having to throw out food, because it's like, we raised this, we, with love, we killed it ourselves, we processed it. And, it's just so terrible, it's like disrespectful to the animal, when something like that happens. So that was really sad. And that's something that I do not want that happen again.
I'm a big fan of propane for refrigeration. People scrap out RVs all the time, and you can find propane run appliances. Like my RV right now, it can run off of electric. It can, the shore power, if you plug in the bus, it'll run off electric or it'll run off propane. And that's what caused me to buy the bus, is just the fact that I can go anywhere and all I want is, an extension cord and a garden hose. And, and if I don't have that, I've still got water tanks. I have propane. And I think, that's how the Amish get away with having, deep freezers and stuff. They use propane instead of electricity. And it's very reliable.
Not too holy for a loophole here and there.
Yeah, gotta get in where you fit in.
Hey, man. Well, one of the things I like about propane, too, is that it's easier to store than gasoline. Gasoline, you got to put a fuel stabilizer in it if you want it to be good, for more than a couple months. And it has more propensity to, to have like an accident or explosion or something than propane does. So that's one of the reasons I really like propane for generators or appliances. I have a regular gas generator, but I want to get a propane generator as well. Because I always have, 4 or 6 tanks of propane on hand. So, I really like the idea of the propane generators or appliances too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, like you said, from a prepping standpoint, I mean, if you've got, $60, you can go buy a full propane cylinder and just put it away. And if you plan ahead and buy your appliances to run off that fuel, excellent. And, I'm hoping that the property I buy will have natural gas. There's a lot of people that sell off property and keep the mineral rights, but you can still use the natural gas. That's a very simple changeover to switch from liquid propane to natural gas. So there's a lot of little things to think about. Exactly.
And a gas stove is just so much better than electric for cooking. I love a gas stove.
I hate electric stoves. They're so inefficient. It's terrible.
So you had mentioned that you don't have a bank account or anything, which is awesome. Are you into crypto?
I want to be, but I've had a bit of ill fortune lately, and I don't have money to invest.
I get it. I definitely get it. It's one of the things that sort of kept me out of it for so long, was it's like, well, I didn't have any, extra money or whatever. So it can definitely make it a little tough. What is kind of cool is a lot of places are doing, and I guess, I don't know, I kind of want Brandon's opinion on this. A lot of places do like, okay, it's like a debit card, right? So like, I don't know, there's several companies that do it. But like, so it's like a debit card, and just anywhere it's Visa or whatever, it just comes out of like your crypto account and you can just like buy stuff. But it's almost, I mean, at that point, it's almost just like using regular fiat anyhow, like in a lot of ways. I guess you're storing, the crypto before you spend it as crypto instead of fiat. But I don't know, man. What do you think, Brandon? Is that like getting around the system at all, using one of those cards, or is that like kosher?
Yeah, it depends. Tobias Ruck was, I think I pronounced his name right. he was developing like crypto card that you can easily make like credit payments with. Now I'm not sure if that was like just an easy way to make payment with just that particular type. I think it was Bitcoin Cash was the crypto that he was doing that with. Now I could be wrong, but I think that was just like an easy way to accept Bitcoin Cash payments. I think BitPay has something where you basically you can make payments, but it takes the same amount of crypto out, depending on the dollar value at that time. But yeah, I think I think anything's better than our traditional financial situation. So yeah, I mean, I would go now. My advice to anybody who's trying to get into crypto is even if you can only afford to do like $5-10 at a time, and just mess around with a couple cents and see if you can send it to certain wallets, and open up different wallets, and I can't say that I can't tell somebody like which crypto to get into or whatnot. There's some cryptos that I definitely don't agree with their philosophy, unfortunately, right? And like right now, I'd say BTC, Bitcoin. You're I think right now it's around $4 or $5 fee to send any amount of Bitcoin to somebody. So I'd stay away from the high fees because of course if you're spending $5 and and you're trying to just mess around and see how it works. I wouldn't go that route. And unfortunately, I think Ethereum has really high fees right now too. Hopefully that changes. And but yeah, just see what works for you. Bitcoin Cash, I really like, but who knows what will happen with the. There's a rumor that there's going to be a fork later on, but right now to transfer Bitcoin Cash, it's like a tenth of a penny, so almost free. And yeah, that crypto is really in the top 5, so it's pretty decent one to start out with, mess around with. Almost every exchange lists it. There's all kinds of wallets and tools and tokens on it, so it's just a really good one for beginners especially. But I had another question, and this is for both of you guys. Did I answer that all right, Dag, or?
Yeah.
I kind of went off on a tangent there too.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, like I said, I was just talking about the debit cards that swap it over. And then, one of the other challenges too is just like using it is, getting somebody to pay you in it, so like what I've been trying to do is whenever I do like a farm sale or something, I mention to people, hey, we accept crypto too. And maybe if they seem at all interested, I can sort of go into a spiel. But I know like for Gonzo, if you're looking to get into it and you guys just have somebody pay you in it, that'd be great. So, but that also depends on the type of work you're doing. If you're doing like some side work or something, it's always worth at least throwing it out there. Hey, just if you happen to be into this or what have you, I accept that as well. And I offer a discount for it because it's going to end up being worth more anyhow. So.
And that's smart. A buddy and I were talking about. Apparently, you can purchase a crypto ATM for between $3,000 and $5,000, and it's a business venture that I'm interested in because if I split, say, we each pitch $2,000 to buy this thing, and then we agree to split the Bitcoin profit down the middle. Well, I'll make my money back and I'll have people pumping crypto into my account without hardly any risk to myself, and accepting crypto as payment for services or, even just, produce, whatever, what have you, and offering a discount for it. Like, yes, I'd prefer to be paid like this. I think people would be interested in that because, think of how many people will get a store card, a Giant Eagle card or a Kroger card just to get that stupid little discount. Well, there it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, another thing too is, I think I always mention this, but as an agorist, whenever I can spend crypto instead of cash, that's kind of like a win against the state, in my opinion. And because you're not using their blood money, you're you're creating essentially less of a demand for their particular type of currency. And so whenever and I know a lot of people are like, well, Gresham's law, and Gresham's law, it does apply. And what Gresham's law is basically bad currency drives out good. So of course, you're not going to see the silver dollars in circulation anymore, like we used to back in the day, because of course everyone's spending regular dollars and keeping the silver ones. But so bad currency drives out good. That's Gresham's law. But what I always like to do is if somebody's accepting both cash and crypto, and I'm going to spend my cash anyways, what I'll do is I'll convert it over to crypto, and and then spend my crypto instead of cash, because I usually like what you guys were saying earlier. I usually get discount for using crypto anyway. So I always recommend doing that, because not only does it mean you're not using their blood money, but you're also spreading crypto adoption, and we're creating a little tiny win against the state. So that's my 2 cents on that.
There are a lot of ways to starve the state. Barter. I think people don't think of barter like they should. I once bought a sports car with jars of marijuana just because I had it on hand. I could have gone and sold the marijuana, but the person who had the car had a use for the marijuana, and I wanted the car, so $0 changed hands. I think I spent $50 on the title. Like, okay, fine. I want to be able to drive the son of a bitch, but the state didn't get anything out of me other than the title fees and license plates.
I was trying to tell the DMV that the car was a gift.
Would you accept jars of marijuana?
Well, exactly. I bought it with marijuana. You can't tax that. The other thing that I'm a fan of is you can buy a ammo press very cheaply, like several $100s. You can start pressing up your own ammunition, and with the cost of 9mm, man, you can make some money, and it isn't regulated. It isn't illegal. And SEK3 talks about doing your cost to benefit analysis. There's very little risk. And, so have that tool, sell that shit, make some money. Even if it's in fiat, you can turn around and buy something else with that fiat.
Yeah, for sure. Reruns are extremely profitable. I had a buddy who would buy like a gun membership just to it was like an outside range that had 20 to 40 different spots where you can shoot at, and he would just go around each one collecting brass so he could do reloads on them later. And he was able to not only make money but pay for the membership every single month by doing that. So I thought that was very interesting. Yeah, and it can be really profitable too. Now with reruns, I recommend just using them more for target practice, and but I guess if you had to use them for like an encounter or something, by all means defend yourself. But there can be, unfortunately, legal issues with using reruns in self-defense. So, But yeah, it can be really profitable.
I'm no lawyer, and I have no idea what you're going to do with that product that I trade with you. That's up to you to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
It's one of those things where I don't, even if be it legal, I'd still keep that a little on the down low. You know what I mean? Just because, if anything, it puts you on the radar. So just like with, again, like some 3D printables, like some people are pretty bold with what they post, and like I don't know, like I'd probably be a little low key with it, just play it safe. But I love doing the reloads. I've had I don't have a setup for it, but I want to get one. I have a friend who does it, and I came over one time and did it for a day with him and helped him with a bunch, to kind of learn. And yeah, it's so cool. And I have a book about it and started reading it. And it's just, man, like the way that you can really dial in for your particular weapon based on like the burn rate of the powder and whatnot, So you gauge that with like the length of your barrel. So it burns while it's in the barrel, but it doesn't stop burning before or continue burning after. And then you get the most, you get the most energy out of it. And it's just so cool, and there really is a lot to it if you really get into it. And that's something that I think is so much fun. I really enjoy rifles, so being able to really tune the ammo in to fit your gun and tighten up that group is just really neat that works.
Yeah, I love the smell of gunpowder, man. Whether it's fired or not,
Yeah. Have you ever had any issue doing your homesteading and stuff with code enforcement? Have they ever fucked with you or anything?
I have yet to ask permission. I've had people show up in the driveway and who are you? What do you want? I didn't invite you here, and you're not welcome. Well, we had reports. I was like, well, the report doesn't mean a whole lot, does it? You're not welcome.
Yeah, they'll really try and like come on, even if like they don't have like the legal whatever. They'll really try and like come on the property, and they're so floored because I've done similar things. Like I had a police officer one time trying to come on the, like he was looking for somebody and he was walking up to my house. Whoa, you stop right there. What's going on? And he did. Which I was honestly a little surprised by. But like they always just get like this look on their face. It's like what? Like I'm so used to people just letting me do whatever I want, especially like code enforcement. Because I've had issues myself and. Over here, like people talking, oh yeah, code enforcement. And they're like, what are you gonna do? And they just comply, and I'm like, fight it, like fight it, dude. I mean, try because like I won, and you may not win, but it's like, man, make them work for it because their jobs are way too easy.
Well, in my area, as long as you have over an acre, you're allowed to have agricultural animals, and there's not a whole lot that can be done about it. And I've had a neighbor try to report me, and the code enforcement lady was like, do you have animals? I was like, am I being detained?
Am I free to go?
Yeah, so it's simply don't comply. Don't ask permission. Don't comply. That's always been my mantra. I am a free man. I didn't agree to this. I don't want to play your game. Leave me alone. I'll give you the same respect.
Yeah, definitely. I wish more people had that attitude because they like I said, the code enforcement people, they're just sorry, I've got a special disdain for them. But they just I don't know, just like their attitude and their demeanor, it just I really dislike it. So I just love whenever people push back or people do whatever to maybe bend the rules or whatever. Like, okay, so I shared this meme with you where it was like a trailer and they had a pontoon boat out in front of it like that was their porch, and the point of the meme was like making fun of them for being like super hick, and I just loved it because I'm like, dude, that's a workaround for a permit for a porch,
Yup.
Yeah, I love that. That's just a trip. But yeah, man, it is really unfortunate. I wish that people would fight it a little more. The local towns I made, in the city limits, you're only allowed to have 6 chickens, and they come and they inspect when you get chickens. Like I had some farmers market customers who were telling me about it. They had 10 chickens, so they took 4 of their chickens and hid them inside, while the inspectors came out. And I couldn't resist. I had to make a joke about hiding them in the attic. and I don't know if they if they got it the same way I did, but I was like, man, are you serious? You know, but yeah, they hit them inside, had the inspection, and then put the chickens back outside. And I was like, thank you for having too many chickens. That makes me so happy that you're doing it and getting away with it.
Why the fuck should you have to treat your food like Anne Frank?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good way of putting it.
Land of the free.
Oh,
can you tell me how many birds I can have on my my lot? You know.
Well, and that's the thing. The rule is no roosters. And like, okay, like, you know, I'm not saying that I agree, but I get that. You know what I mean? But it's like, you got hens, like, they're quiet. Like, what's the difference? You know, especially if you got, you know, privacy fence. Nobody has to have a god awful experience of seeing your chickens. You know. But you know, I never really got like neighborhoods and like homeowners associations and stuff like that. Anyhow, on the one hand, it's a voluntary thing, so I don't have a problem with it, like them existing. You know, compared to like code enforcement departments. You know, I think that I would much rather have, you know, instead of a system of, you know, government code enforcement, you know, homeowners associations and stuff. They're voluntary contracts. You get to read the rules before you move into the neighborhood. I have the option to not move into one of those neighborhoods, and I will not. You know, but I think that that's a better way of handling that, you know, in private property, all that good stuff.
Absolutely, man. If you lay down and let people walk on you, you know, prepare to be tread upon. You've got to have a certain amount of fuck you to stand up to these people, because cops don't come in and, you know, being all friendly. No, they come in and start making demands.
And they act like you're already a criminal before they've you know found anything that made you, you know, seem that way.
Anytime I called the cops because like I needed help, like they treated me like I was a piece of shit. You know, they treated me like I was the criminal, or at best like I was wasting their time. They're like, what do you want me to do here? And I'm like, I don't know. You're the cop. Like, this got stolen from me. Just make a report and get there, find it in a pawn shop. Like, I know it's all you can do. Like, you're not gonna go dust for prints, you know, or do anything like that. But they always treat me like I'm the criminal, or again, like I'm just wasting their time. So it's like, you know, I mean, even from the better side, like, oh, they're here to help us. I don't know. I've never had that experience. So what can I say?
Yeah, me neither. I've never had a helpful pig, you know.
Zero good experiences with the police, and they get upset when anytime I do interact with them, like, sir, will you roll down your window? Like, no, it's my window. You don't tell me what to do.
Oh man,
smell. You want to smell if I was smoking weed, motherfucker? Too bad. Get out of here.
Right. Yeah, I almost got killed. I almost got killed one night because I refused to roll down my window, and then he drew his gun, and I was like, well, you know, and then he tried to grab me through the window, and I was like, well, this is why I'm not rolling down my fucking window, and he's like, well, why won't you step out of your car? Well, because you've got your gun drawn, like, you know, what the fuck, dude? So
yeah, if anybody else did it who wasn't wearing a magical costume, you know, you would have every right to defend yourself. You know, if anybody else, you know, did any of that, that's when people go, oh, well, they're constantly they're like, I work with some young, kind of conservative, you know, people, and when I'm thinking, I'm like, if a cop pulled you over and wanted to search your car, like, you'd let him? He's like, yeah, why not? I'm like, would you let me? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, that's why, dude. Like, when you just it's a stranger pulling you over and wanting to rummage through your shit, like, why would you be okay with that? You know,
I would rather a stranger rummage through my shit than a cop, because at least they're not going to plant something on you and then take you to jail. You know,
I've got a plate carrier and morale patches too. Does that make me special?
I mean, in some ways, it kind of does. I mean, you have like some special abilities at that point. It's not quite superpowers, but you know, it's a nice perk.
Oh man.
Oh shit. Dude, this was a hoot. Do you have any other questions or anything else, Brandon?
I definitely agree with your stance. You know, don't even give law enforcement an inch. They had called me the other day and they're like, hey, you dialed 911, and I was like, no, I didn't. And they're like, well, we have to check and see just to make sure everybody's safe. What's your address? You know, what's your name and address? And I was like, I don't feel like I have to give you any information. I didn't call you at all. and I hung up on him, and that was it. So, and then my phone, for some crazy reason, was telling me that I think I'm gonna get rid of my smartphone, to be honest. But my phone was telling me to give emergency services my location by turning on my GPS, and I was like, "Fuck no!" So, so yeah, don't even give them an inch. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and who knows what they'll do in terms of searches or anything else. So,
Did you gentlemen have to deal with the census?
yeah, I did.
Go ahead, Brandon.
My this census person came up to my door and was asking me about my neighbor, and like, well, how many people live there? And because I guess they couldn't get information from them, so I was just like, I don't know. I don't know who lives there. They're like, you haven't seen anybody? I'm like, no, I don't know. She kept trying to get information out of me to like tell me about my neighbors, and I'm just like, no, I don't know anything, so I'm not giving you anything. Even though I did, I would not give them any information at all. But I'm afraid that even though I didn't fill out my census, I think one of my neighbors probably was like, oh yeah, telling them about me. So it's crazy that the census people are now going to different houses and asking you to give information about your neighbors. It's too bad.
Well, how can they even take that as like, like a set number? Because it's like, you'd think that like if they were trying to get an accurate count, that wouldn't even be like an acceptable way to get the information. We got like 10 years ago, the last census, we were just losers, so we never like cared about now we're like winners, but we don't care about it for different reasons. But we never filled out our census, and they ended up coming to the house, and whatever, told me information they wanted to know, But this year we because we were doing the tiny house thing for years, and that's like not legal. Our addresses were like at our parents' houses, and they started sending us paperwork to the farm address about like the census, and it's like, well, this isn't a house, like nobody lives here, and now we have a house here on the farm. So I'm thinking that they're going to end up coming here, wanting to census us, and I'm just going to say we live somewhere else as of April 1st, which was the date, so go away. We've already been counted, which I don't know if we have or not, but that's my experience this year with them. So nothing yet. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't come here, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to find the entrance to my house, and there's, we've got animals and dogs and stuff like that. So maybe we'll get lucky and they won't even brave it.
I suggest a RV to anybody that wants to avoid such things, because I'm not homeless. I have a truly mobile home that can be anywhere at any point. Just saying.
Well, here's the thing though, man, because like my dad, he went to like live in like an RV, and he was having the same issue. And like when I was doing, like the tiny house thing, I was having the same issue as like, and of course, depending on how much of a gray man you want to be, this might not be an issue for you. But it's like, like you need like an official address. So that's why like mine was like, like a family member's house. And my dad did the same thing. He had a family member who that was his official address, because like they need somewhere to send your tax bill to, so it's like that, they definitely want an address for you. And then we had an issue with the property that we were on, and this was my code enforcement thing, where because we didn't have an actual house on the property, we couldn't have legally, of course, obviously we did a lot of, stuff anyhow, but we couldn't put an RV on the property. They told us that we had to pull our sheds off the property. They told me that I had to pull my shipping container off the property. And this was even before I was staying there. It's just like a farm with this stuff. But because I didn't fill out the proper paperwork at the proper time of year to be considered a farm, they were basically like saying, you have to go. You can't have any included crops. They can't be over 18 inches tall because that's considered overgrowth. Like the whole thing was a mess, But the only reason we had issues is because somebody dimed us out. We had a real estate agent trying to sell a piece of property down the street, and they dimed us out. So, for the most part, it's like, if you can slip under the radar and get away with stuff, you're usually fine. A lot of the stuff is complaint based, but there are those Karens out there. God, are there those Karens out there? So, What are you going to do? But at any rate, that's kind of off on a tangent, but that's kind of, I think, like, be aware of that kind of stuff. It probably vary state to state and county to county, but be aware of that kind of stuff if you are just setting up an RV on a piece of property. If it's wooded and nobody can see you, hey, you're great. But otherwise, just have a backup plan.
Good advice, Dag.
Just from experience, I've been there. It was a rough 8 months dealing with them, but we won. What are you gonna do? So, anything else, anyone? Otherwise, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think we're. Was there anything else you wanted to cover, Gonzo? I think, real quick, I think we should actually, just for beginners, like, especially like myself, because I haven't really done as much agricultural stuff. Do you have any tips for a beginner trying to get into growing a couple things for themselves? And I guess this question is for both you and Dag, since Dag's a farmer as well.
Sure, man. You go ahead, Gonzo, and I'll do an addendum.
All right. Plant yourself an herb garden, man. Basil is very easy to grow. If you've never grown anything, grow yourself some basil. Have a pet tomato plant. Don't start off with, a quarter-acre garden if you've never done it, because you'll end up overwhelmed. The barrier to entry stops so many people, and it's you choose that. If you smoke weed, grow yourself a plant. Try it. Learn how. Do research. If you want a 3D print, get the $200 3D printer. Learn how to print. If you want to shoot, get the $200 high point. Learn how to shoot. These aren't the sexiest or the best tools out there, but it'll get you in there. Start. Put it forward. Get yourself, a couple of ducks or a couple of chickens. Don't overwhelm yourself, but don't let the fear of starting stop you. That would be my best advice to getting into self-sufficiency. Get yourself, a couple weeks to a month worth of food stored up. You can do that for less than $50, and you'll be 100% better than 90% of the population. Start prepping. Get your tools. Learn how to grow even simple shit, because that is going to put you ahead in the event that you need to be ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dag?
That's excellent, and that'd be really, that's the same advice I give to people when it comes to gardening. Start with an herb garden, 1 or 2 tomato plants, because you want to grow something you're going to use every day. Like when you're cooking. So when you go to make dinner and you walk out, okay, let me grab a couple of scallions, let me grab some basil, some rosemary, what have you. You can use it every day, so you're seeing a reward right away too. So it's more fun. It's something that you're going to stick with. When you spend 4 months growing a few tomato plants from seed, and you get blight comes through and wipes them out, or right when they're ready to harvest, you come out in the morning and squirrels ate them all, or your chickens got into them. It's very disheartening, and I think it might drive a lot of people to give it up. So grow tomato plants, do it, but it's a learning experience. And then also don't get too overwhelmed, a project at a time, and that is from experience. I get into we had 1 month, somebody was getting rid of some pigs. Yeah, we'll take a couple pigs. And somebody's getting rid of some turkeys. Yeah, we'll take some turkeys. And we got an incubator, so we ended up going overboard with that, and had hundreds of chickens running around. And it's like it was just too much. You got to do your infrastructure a step at a time. But like Gonzo said, just start small and learn from your mistakes. And you'll end up learning skills out of necessity. When your lawnmower breaks, and then you're watching YouTube videos about how to redo an oil gasket on a Briggs and Stratton. And you do it, and it's something you never, before that day that you ended up having to do it, you never thought you'd, need to learn that. But then you have those skills, and you can take care of your own stuff. And if shit hits the fan, and it's just a great skill to have. You can again work for trade, fix your neighbor's small engine if you got that skill, and for whatever their skills are. So it's a really good way to go. But everything Gonzo said, that's about the same advice I give when someone asks me that question.
Nice. Yeah, that's good advice.
If you want to get into agorism, man, you have to have skills that not everybody has. And, learn how to distill moonshine, learn how to grow pot, people will always want their vices, and they'll always be willing to trade for them. Learn how to fucking do it.
That's
the best
excellent
advice I
bartering
can
tools.
give.
And they store well too, especially like the booze and stuff. It stores well. So it's one of those things. Yeah, you can put it away, and it's something that you're going to end up using anyhow. Worst case scenario. So.
Right.
Its value only goes up.
Yeah, I'd say the advice I want to give is I try to do a little bit of gardening, and certain spots of the lawn or the garden wouldn't grow certain things. I'm like, damn it! Like I wanted, certain crops in certain spots, and but I guess what I'm trying to say is that I kind of let the garden pick, what grows where, and I'm like, okay, that's no longer my whatever I planted. That's no longer going to be that. That's going to tomatoes grow better there, and so I'd say that's the advice I can give because gardening for me starting out, it was like, okay, certain crops you may want to set up your garden a certain way, but your garden may not want to grow certain things in certain spots. So kind of let nature take its course, and whatever grows in a certain spot, make that the tomato spot, or make that your herb spot or whatever. So
yeah, that's a lot of what permaculture is all about too, is making the land, pick the spots that work the best, because otherwise you're just creating undue work for yourself to make something work there, or
when it doesn't want to.
Slow.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Permaculture is like judo with nature.
Way of putting it.
Yes.
I was definitely fighting it, and then I was like, if that's what wants to grow there, I'm just gonna say that's the spot. That's So, but that's all we got. Was there anything else you guys wanted to cover?
No, I'm good. This is a hoot, man. Thanks for coming on, Gonzo.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Gentlemen. Thanks for having me on. I'm Gonzo01201 on Twitter if you want to find me.
Yeah, I'll definitely be following you myself, especially since you've got all these skills. Should be interesting follow. And is there anywhere else we should follow you, or just Twitter?
Yeah, hit me up on Twitter. I've got a key base that my good peeps can get into, but yeah, meet me up on Twitter. I'll get you there.
All right. Well, that's our show today. Agorist, Nexus out.